Never have I ever done a video that I didn't want to do like this one. But you know what? I kept getting the messages, the DMs, and the comments. So here it is, my official reaction to Brown Mogotsi and the pew-pewing of his red car that surprised us last week. But I decided, you know what? Let me not just talk about the bullets that entered his car, but he was not in the car. You know what? We'll talk about that. So make sure you stay till the end and I'll give you my honest opinion on what happened to Brown Mogotsi. So I decided, you know what? Why don't we start off with the rise? Yes, the rise and fall of Brown Mogotsi. Let's do a timeline, shall we? Let's start from the very beginning. Think about it. Before the 6th of July, 2025, did you even know Brown Mogotsi? I know. I'll speak for myself. I didn't, okay? But if you also did not know who he was, drop a 1 in the comment section down below. Let's get started. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for your support. Hit the like button, subscribe, share, and done everything. I just want to jump straight into it before I back out of this one again. Here goes. It was the 6th of July, 2025. When, if you turned on your television, depending on which mainstream channel you love to follow, there he was. Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, the Police Provincial Commissioner of KZN, which will later on be referred to as KZN, the tiny little province. If you don't know where that phrase comes from, make sure you stay till the end so that I bring you up to speed on everything that transpired on the 6th of July, 2025. Mkhwanazi was dressed in combat gear. It was quite terrorizing for some people, but also quite celebratory for other people, because it's a moment that has been etched in history forever. It doesn't matter which end of the spectrum you are on. The 6th of July 2025 will forever mark a turning point in South Africa. So, ladies and gentlemen, the president of South Africa was actually out of the country. Now, I'm not saying this was strategically planned to be done when he was out of the country, but what was in front of our eyes was Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi in combat uniform, along with a dozen men and women on either side of him in full task force uniform. And we will then know them as the PKTT as time goes on. In front of him were most of the other top-ranking police officials. In Paul O'Sullivan's words, every single policeman was in that press briefing, so who was actually doing the police work outside? But we are not there. This story is not about Paul O'Sullivan's perspective, but it's going to be about what we, members of the public jury, saw transpire before our eyes. We were glued as Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi was dropping names, saying names we had never heard of before. One of those names was Brown Mogotsi. Let you listen to how the general introduced Brown Mogotsi to the world. Here goes.
This analysis reveals communication between the arrested Vusimus at Ket Matlala, Mr. Brown Mogotsi, an associate of the Minister of Police, as well as the Minister of Police, Senzo Mtu.
So at this point, going back and listening to Mkhwanazi all over again and knowing every single detail based on Malanga Commission or ad hoc committee or even the press conferences that keep popping up like mushrooms everywhere. And let me tell you, those mushrooms are poisonous. Do not eat them. I repeat, do not eat them. But let's get back into it. So here's the thing. Mkhwanazi reveals to us that Ket Matlala, he introduces us to Ket Matlala. Okay, again, drop a 2 in the comment section if you also did not know who Ket Matlala was before the 6th of July, 2025. Ket Matlala, who is allegedly, well, not allegedly, he is actually inside Phakathi within Kgosimampuru prison, arrested for 3 counts of attempted pew-pewing Tebogo Tobejane, her friend who she goes by the name of Japan, and their driver in Sandton. Okay, Tebogo was Vusimuzi Ket Matlala's girlfriend, but sometimes the relationships get really intense. And then Ket Matlala decided he needs her 6 feet under immediately. Unfortunately, the hitman kind of didn't quite do the hit. So Ket Matlala gets arrested. Once you're arrested, of course, they take your devices. When they took his devices, that's when they did the analysis. I am guessing a Section 205 application was done. They downloaded the contents of his physical device, and voila! Ooh. Senzom Tunu. His name came up. And who else? Brown Mogotsi. Who is Brown Mogotsi? An associate of Senzom Tunu. That is the very, 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 very first time we hear the name Brown Mogotsi. And by the way, Ket Matlala was arrested on the 14th of May 2025. Let's continue listening on.
On the 1st of January, the letter is issued on the 31st. On the 1st of January 2025, Mr. Brown Mogotsi sends a WhatsApp to Vusimuzi Ket Matlala, and it reads as follows, I quote, "I have arranged a meeting for Sibiya and the minister. They must have a solution." And he follows another message. "The task team that came to your house and harassed you have been dissolved. They got the letter on Monday. As we speak, they are bringing all docket to Sibiya."
Okay. Where are the 21 dockets, 121 dockets? Why were they taken?
They were taken, brought by them to be taken to where they needed to be taken to.
You have to agree with me. At this point, Brown Mogotsi, this unknown man, sounds like an undercover FBI agent or a double agent that works with Mossad. He sounds so powerful. He seems to know so much. And he can just click his fingers and say, "What? I have arranged a meeting for Sibiya, aka Shadrach Joseph Sibiya, and the minister, aka Police Minister Senzom Tunu, and they must have a solution." Do you see the language that Brown Mogotsi is using here with Vusimuzi Ket Matlala? Huh? He is not suggesting, insinuating. No, he is saying this is what is happening. He is affirmative, and he is promising Brown Mogotsi more than just ice cream. Listen, okay? Sibiya and the minister, and they must have a solution. And this message was sent on the 1st of January 2025. After Senzom Tunu sat at home and thought to himself, yes, let me send this letter to Masamola, who is on holidays after 5 p.m. to disband political killing task team, which we know went to Vusimuzi Ket Matlala's house on the 6th of December, according to Becky Chele. Okay, Becky Chele's version is my favorite version of the PKTT story. Okay, the way Becky Chele tells the PKTT, how the PKT entered Vusimuzi Ket Matlala's bedroom. Woo! Of course, we got the version of witness A, B, and C. But I'm sorry, Becky Chele takes the cup. So Becky Chele told us that, listen, he heard that Vusimuzi Matlala heard the PKTT just wake him up in his bedroom, and he knew instantly that can only be the PKTT.
Ket says to me, he wants to speak to me because he was raided. He says the people that raided him woke him up as he was sleeping and bambulingo bobati vuka. Then I realized that was a special task force. Immediately, when they come to your bathroom and they wake you up, that could be only nobody but a special task force.
That's how good they are, guys. They will neutralize, okay? And they will come into the house and they'll be inside Pagati within. However, in hindsight, from Ndlanga Commission, we know that Vusimuzi already knew they were coming. He was tipped off by Sergeant Nkosi. But we'll talk about that in another video. In this video, we are focused on Brown Mogotsi. Do you hear? Right now, you wouldn't think that he is a man who'd later on have his car pew-pewed or shot down. But remain with me. Let's build this story. It's so interesting, even for me, the host, as I am going back to Mkhwanazi and saying, oh, okay, I know why this happened. Everything that Mkhwanazi said has been backed up inside the Malanga or the ad hoc committee. But in this video, I'm trying to put it all nice and cute for you. So we follow along Brown Mogotsi's rise, okay, and fall. Let's continue listening on.
This letter is issued on the 31st of December 2024. This communication is on the very next day, the 1st of January 2025, where it says the dockets have been called and have been sent to Sibia. Yes, we know the dockets only were sent to Sibia in March this year.
Where are the 21 dockets, 121 dockets?
Further analysis of the chats indicates that Vusimuzi Ket Matlala is financially supporting the Minister of Police and Mr. Brown Mogotsi's political endeavors. This is supported by the evidence of conversation and the proof of payments of guests for January 8 traveling cost and the Ghana dinner in Cape Town, which was done in 2025. The proof of payment, we have it. As I said, we're going to share with you where Mr. Matlala is sending this proof of payment to Mr. Brown Mogotsi. On the 2nd of January 2025, at about 10:05 in the morning, Vusimuzi Ket Matlala receives a copy of the letter of the disbandment of the political killing stars team from Mr. Brown Mogotsi, who is an associate with the Minister of Police. I pause to remind you that this is the very same Brown Mogotsi that the Minister of Police had denied in Parliament and later confirmed to be his comrade but not involved with police matters. But he's sending this communication. That's what we have discovered through the investigation.
Now, what I was saying about some fellow. 2 weeks ago, it does happen in a week or 2 or 3. I think a week and a half ago, I got somebody insisting that there's somebody who's going around saying he works with me wherever I am, he is there. And I said, show me the face. And it got to a point where he showed me the face, and I told him, I don't know this person. And a week before, there was another person, Mkhunu, who said is my younger brother. My younger brother died in 2005, and I don't have any other. And so when the person says so, you really... So I think we must be very circumspect when people come to us and say, I must be an associate of this and that. I'm no associate to the person that John Mkhwanazi is referring to. But I appreciate whatever they discussed and then those things coming out so that I understand who is saying what, where, and so on. I do know that possibly all of us, including you, Che, you would have at one point or the other somebody claiming that they are your associate. It does happen. But other than that, thank you very much.
On the 14th of January 2025, Mr. Brown communicates with Mr. Vusimuzi Ket Matlala as follows. I quote, sure, don't forget to work on your invoices. On the 15th January, Mr. Vusimuzi Ket Matlala responds with a screenshot of an invoice that he has submitted to the South African Police Service, which I guess was due for payment on his contract. On the 26th of January 2025, Mr. Brown Mogotsi sent a message to the Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu, which reads as follows, I quote, the guy of the funding in bracket 20 is also in Joburg from Tuesday. He is the one I said has a 3 billion contract with SAPS. Close quote. Open quote, again another message. I am also meeting with the DNC and the COS today. Now, in the abbreviation, the DNC in the South African Police Service is referred to as the Deputy National Commissioner. And the COS would be, in this regard, the Chief of Staff. He says, I'm also meeting with the DNC and Chief of Staff today in Durban for finalization of Khumalo and General Mkhwanazi's matter.
It's very important I remind you, at this point, we have never seen what Brown Mogotsi looks like. All we know is what Mkhwanazi is saying about Brown. And let me confirm, he still sounds like a high-powered Mossad agent. He's coordinating Minister of Police, Deputy police commissioner Nkabinde over there. We now know him as Nkabinde, but then we didn't know he was Nkabinde. He was the chief of staff. And that was on the 26th of January. See how busy Brown has been? Oh my goodness. He was coordinating the coordinating. He was over there on the other side with them to Cat Matlala, promising him the world. And then on this side, he was telling the police minister that, hey, the guy with the funding, he is going to be in Joburg from Tuesday. He is the connector, the facilitator, the spy. And he's definitely a double agent. He's working on this side, he's working on that side, and the sides don't know he's double working. But let's continue listening on. At this point, we don't know who Brown Mogotsi is, or that his car is going to end up being shot at the end. This, ladies and gentlemen, is General Dumisani Khumalo, crime intelligence boss. Yes, top of the top, but has been arrested in a dramatic arrest, as Mkhwanazi will later reveal to us. But this is the chief, the top over there in SAF's crime intelligence. And we hear Brown Mogotsi say in the message that, yes, I am also meeting with the DNC, Shadrack Sibia, and the COS, Nkabinde, today in Durban for finalization of Khumalo and General Mkhwanazi's matter. This is the Khumalo he is referring to. And boy, oh boy, I mean, Brown is one brave man. I don't know. He is one brave man. He was inside everybody's pockets. We will later find out that, he needed money for this and that, But let's continue listening on.
Another message reads, DNC is waiting for the chief of staff here. This is very significant. Close quote. This is extracted from the communication of the arrested person. On the 31st of December, we have seen Mr. Brown Mogotsi sending the following message to the Minister of Police, which reads, Minister, I'm going to get the case number and the judgment for you. Now we got something proven by the court. It is a matter now which either Sibia or the minister can charge Khumalo and apply Rule 9 of the disciplinary regulations of the South African Police Service. It took the Constitutional Court to release a man who was sentenced to life imprisonment through a forced Section 204 confession. Imagine, Comrade Senzo, after 30 years of democracy, having this kind of policing. The good thing now is that these are not allegations, but a court judgment. This is extracted from a conversation that Mr. Brown Mogotsi is sending to the Minister of Police. On the 13th of May this year, the contract of Vusumuzi Cat Matlala was cancelled by the National Commission of the South African Police Service. On the 14th of May this year, Vusumuzi Cat Matlala sent a message to Brown Mogotsi, which reads, I quote, Morning, just to let you know that my contract was cancelled yesterday, and I see you've been ignoring me and promising me things that never happened. Luckily, took screenshots of every conversation just in case something like this might happen. I'm taking all this to media and some to court on Friday when I do the interdict. Close quote.
What a mouthful, right? I feel like we have to do a part 2, but I'm going to keep going. I promise to do this all Brown Mogotsi in one video. So that is what we know about Brown Mogotsi, Senzo Mchunu, Vusumuzi Cat Matlala, and as well that Brown, he's playing all teams, okay? Shadrack Sibia as well is in there. Nkabinde, chief of staff, is also in there. And then now everybody needs to know who Brown Mogotsi is. We know on the 6th of July, Paul O'Sullivan ran to the media to give his a version of everything and tell us about the Louis Vuitton bags that Mkhwanazi and Masemola received from a police supplier. Relevance, I don't know, but he found that very important to bring it up then. And then we also had Shadrack Sibia, the man himself, run to Griselda Lewis and multiple other media channels, news media channels, and give his version of events and act like an absolutely shocked, disciplined member of SAPS. Fast forward, he's actually a suspended member of SAPS. I don't know why Masemola is in the business of suspending disciplined members of SAPS, but the evidence has shown itself. So far, that is. And then, what else happened after that? Everybody ran to the media. And then, guess what? The media went out searching for Brown Mogotsi. This name was so dominant, so prominent in the 6th of July 2025 press briefing. We needed to know who he was. And the media brought this man to our attention.
Person encountered something along the way, so he wouldn't be able to come. So, but for that matter, he tried to rectify it by offering me a 5 years contract at his restaurant to generate income for myself with whatever I'm going to be doing. So, as I was busy trying to put myself in a position of what am I going to do to generate income for myself at his restaurant, I encountered a situation at home. My auntie kicked me out. Yeah. So when my aunt kicked me out, I called Mr. Brown. Actually, I went to Mr. Brown. I told Mr. Brown that, Mr. Brown, I'm not going to be able to proceed with you with the contract that you supplied, that you gave me, because at home I have encountered this kind of situation. So Mr. Brown, he then asked me to wait, and then I waited. Then from there, when he was done with whatever that he was doing, he went with me home and then trying to understand the situation. But unfortunately, the situation could not be resolved at home. And then Mr. Brown, he offered to take me in. He offered to take me in, and then he rented me a room so I can stay there and then continue with my business. And then on my side, I couldn't feel okay about it because anxiety and depression, they were visiting me, and then I could not understand in what situation I'm standing at, and then, where am I heading with Mr. Brown at that particular moment, as there were so many thoughts that were running in my mind. And then later on...
Sorry to cut you, but what kind of thoughts? Were you not trusting him, or you're not personally okay with your own problems? What were those? What was happening in your mind in terms of your concerns and fears?
Hence I mentioned anxiety and depression, because I did not understand how could I share an opportunity that I received with my aunt at home, and then she still proceed kicking me out instead of supporting me and then helping me build myself and my career.
Okay. You see, this was the very, very first time we got to get a hint, just a tiny little hint at somebody who knew who Brown Mogotsi was, had worked with him, comes forward to tell us what a generous man he is. He's so generous that this man had a falling out with his aunt, and Brown immediately jumped to the rescue, offered to rent a room for him so he can continue to work in his businesses, right? And we're thinking, okay, so Brown Mogotsi, the businessman, right? Because here, this gentleman here vouches for him. But then at the back of my mind, I was like, why is Brown Mogotsi renting a room out for this man? Could they possibly maybe be in a relationship? But you know what? Didn't want to say it out loud. It was not clear at the time what was going on, so we let it slide. Of course, we've never heard from this man ever again. He's disappeared into thin air. Was he just placed? Was he hired? Was he just a person of interest who just wanted the limelight at the time? I don't know. But what we do know is then Brown Mogotsi himself decided to speak for himself, because this didn't quite work out. This interview just did not do justice to who exactly Brown Mogotsi is.
But you talk to us, when was the last time you interacted with him? But also, when this news came out, what was your first reaction? How did you feel when you heard that this is the person who's allegedly involved in corruption with police ministers? Is this something that you anticipated or suspected at any point? What was your immediate reaction with all this whole issue that's happening out there now?
Well, Mr. Brown, I think last time I spoke with him was last year when he requested some logos that I created for him. And then when this news came, I was very shocked. I couldn't believe that they're talking about Mr. Brown that I know until yesterday, when I got really into it and tried to check if they're really talking about Mr. Brown. And then I saw they posted his video where he was talking about the ANC. I don't know what was it, but he was talking about the ANC. So I was very shocked, because I don't know Mr. Brown like that. And Mr. Brown, in my life here, I have never seen him angry. I have never seen him attacking anybody. I've always seen him happy and ever smiling. Yeah.
And SABC was able to locate Brown Mogotsi and did this interview with him. Let me give you a sneak snippet. This is still Brown Mogotsi, right? The businessman, as we know him.
Mr. Mogotsi, are you a police officer?
No, I'm not a police officer.
I've been around, my sister, and I believe at the right time with the proper platform, I'll be able to expound to the latter as to who's Brown Mogotsi with my underground experience or underground operations, of course. Yeah, I'll be able to share when asked as to where do I fall in this environment. Yeah, first of all, I need to even show the viewers at home and South Africans that General Mokwanazi's press conference happened at the very wrong time. The timing is very inappropriate because now, like he alluded during his press conference, I spoke to him, I sent him a message last year, but only after the arrest of the 5 generals and these other brigadiers, he decides now to call a press conference. In addition, you'll be surprised that I think on Thursday last week, just before his press conference, he did talk to me, and from him calling me, there are possibilities that I was checking on him, but he called me, and we also spoke about the need to save the country, and the fear that every policeman can now obtain a J50 to arrest another a policeman. The J50 is a warrant of arrest. So I was very surprised on Sunday to hear him now bringing this thing again. My sister, don't be surprised when I said I'm being around. The information that I'm giving you, I say if I'm questioned at the right platform, I'll be able to allude this to. How do I end up having this information? And it does not come from Minister Senzon Tunu, General Sibiya or General Khan or anyone of those General Mukhwana has mentioned.
So you confirm that you have access to privileged policing information?
No, it's not that I have access. This environment information comes to you. The proper platform will give me an opportunity if asked to say, where does this and this come from and how do you handle that?
You're saying through your relationship with Minister Mkunu, you do not have access to such privileged information?
He never shares police information.
Well, then where do you get this information, which is privileged and sensitive?
Like I said, only the proper platform can allow me to divulge as to where that.
So that's Brown Mogotsi and the SABC News interview that he did. And still then, we're not sure who he is, but at that moment, he's dressed in Adidas pants as well as a Nike shirt. But then the Nike logo is not looking like a Nike logo. So it was kind of confusing. It was like, you know what? No, maybe they caught him off guard. He wasn't ready for the interview. It was not giving, businessmen, or should I say it's because we have just been dominated by, I'm going to steal the words from Jamie, Hosh curry businessmen, okay? Hosh curry businessmen who tend to wear Dolce & Gabbana and all these expensive labels. So Brown Mogotsi was not presenting the look, the Hosh curry look. And at the same time, he's saying he's not a policeman. He's not going to reveal how he has all this classified information. He'll only do it at the right platform. And we've just got to stay tuned. And so, you know what? We honored his request. We're going to stay tuned. But then he did another interview. It was at this point I started like, you know what? Things are starting to teka now. Things are not making sense. And then the PKTT raided his business premises. He wasn't there. And then it was a whole scene. Okay? And Mr. Brown Mogotsi at this point did a media tour. But the difference with this one, he seemed to be thoroughly shaken at the prospect of the PKTT just missing him, because he was not at his business premises in the Northwest, where he was in Johannesburg. And he gave them his location, and he said, come to me, I will hand you over my devices. Ladies and gentlemen, that was about 3 weeks ago, okay? The PKTT had not got a hold of Brown Mogotsi or his devices for a solid 3 weeks. When he did the media tour, when the PKTT was at his business premises, he was visibly shaken. He was concerned. One would be tempted to say he was scared. It was that moment we saw on live TV, the demise of Brown Mogotsi begin. So he, in my opinion, he had been living this facade. Yes, I would say facade. He had been living this facade. Guess what? Now he has to do with the Madlanga Commission. When the PKTT were at his premises, he also revealed that, listen, those are my business premises. And, the women, they rent out his store. They just pay him about 2,000 rands. And I was like, okay, that sounds very minimum. So where is the rest of his money coming from, right? But we now know, okay, from witness A, witness B, and the Umkhwanazi screenshots that were played inside Phakathi, the Madlanga Commission, that Brown has a tendency of getting money from Vusimuzikat Matlala, asking for money from Vusimuzikat Matlala to fund some of Senzo Mchunu political aspirations, and also funding delegates and. Okay, so it seems to me that, he has extra financial benefits from other sources that are not necessarily business related, if you know what I mean. So that was the first indication that Brown is not all that he says he is. I mean, after all, he told us that he's the one who smoked out. He said it, not me, that he smoked out Thabo Bester in Tanzania. Wow. But then now this is the same man who seems so shaken to have received a visit from the PKTT. Don't forget, Beggy Chele told you. The PKTT will be inside Phakathi, your room, and they'll pull your blanket and say it's time to wake up. No wonder Brown Mogotsi was shaken. He knows exactly the capabilities of the PKTT, and he was like, oops, the jig is up. They are on to me. So now we finally arrive at the moment of the red Toyota vehicle that Brown Mogotsi was allegedly driving. Let's get into it. Oh my goodness, before we get into the vehicle, I literally almost left out this huge part. Fikile Mbalula versus Brown Mogotsi. Fikile Mbalula, unprovoked, just came out and said, you know what? Brown is not even an active member of the ANC. Brown Mogotsi took that very personal and he did a whole media tour. He said a lot. And then, of course, in true Fikile Mbalula style, he ran to court to open a case against Brown Mogotsi. But Brown Mogotsi took a media tour to say, I don't know why Fikile Mbalula is out here saying I'm not a member of the ANC, an active member of the ANC. As far as I'm concerned, my membership is active and in good standing. And this was in the month of October, so he was saying his membership ends at the end of October, so he doesn't know what Fikile Mbalula is up to. So that was pretty interesting. I'm going to keep that part brief because I know you want us to jump into the vehicle, the red Toyota that was shot up. Let's get into it. Well, upon further research, it wasn't a Toyota, it was a red Chevrolet. So Brown Mogotsi is driving in Joburg, in Vosloorus. It's around 10 p.m. at night, and then Jiggy, a white bucky, starts firing at him, okay? And then a private security company happens to hear the pew-pew sounds and calls the actual SAPs and says, you gotta come. It's not sounding correct. The SAPs arrive at the scene. They see the vehicle. They see Brown Mogotsi with their own eyes. And he tells them what happened. And then, now remember, this is 10 p.m. at night. And then the police say, you've got to accompany us to the station and open up a docket. Yes, you already know about dockets, right? Where are the dockets? The 121 dockets. Brown Mogotsi said, No, I know you're the police. I know you're SAPs. I do not feel safe. I am so traumatized. But you know what? I want to go to sleep on it. I promise I'm going to come to the police station in the morning. I'm going to give you my statement. I'm going to tell you everything that happened. But right now, I am traumatized. You see, that was the first red flag right there. What do you mean you're traumatized? And why did they not call, that's the police that is, why did they not call the first responders so that they check in on the man? He had been fired at. 11 bullets hit the car, ladies and gentlemen. 11 bullets hit the car. There's visible evidence that indeed they were bullets. I don't know if they were rubber bullets or not, but we'll wait for Chris Mangena of the Pretoria Silverton Ballistic Controversial Department. I said what I said. We'll wait for him to tell us what kind of bullets it was, what kind of firearm it was, and. Now here's what's concerning. Remember, this was all at night. You know, at night it's very, very dark. You don't get to see much. So the police take the car with them. They don't call first responders to come and check on Mr. Brown. How did Brown leave the scene of the crime? Suddenly he disappears into the still of the night. And that's the last time SAPS was able to find him. They waited for him on Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. like he promised. Nowhere to be found. The man has disappeared again. Remember, nobody knew where he was since the PKTT had been looking for him and his his devices for 3 weeks. The man just was nowhere to be found. Jiggy, he shows up with bullets in his car. Here's my theory. Things have gotten really tough very fast. And you know, friends are very few and far between during tough times. But they do say, tough people, what does this say? Only tough people I don't remember. Type it in the comment section down below. I've been recording this for quite some time. But anyway, Brown Mogotsi, I believe he's fallen on difficult times. He's alone. He doesn't have his political affiliations. He doesn't have his financial backing. Vusimuzi Madlala is in prison. He's really alone. And then he also has to show up at the Madlanga Commission. Remember, he asked for an extension. Why? Why did he ask for an extension? He's up to something. In my opinion, he's up to no good. Okay? Nobody wants to be around him. No one wants to be associated with him. He's really on his own. And then he probably tried to get legal advice. Legal advice costs money. He doesn't have the money. He doesn't have that kind of money. He doesn't have that kind of money. So he called Madlanga and said, listen, can you give me time? He's trying to source the money. The sourcings didn't work. And he said, what's the next best thing I can do? Let me cause drama. Let me cause sympathy. And let me get myself security. Is he being followed around, threatened? I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. If this whole cartel dun thing is real, it's real. I believe he is being followed around. I believe he's scared, and I believe he needed Madlanga to provide him, to sympathize and empathize with him. And what did Madlanga do? They've provided him security, of course. I mean, he's one of the top names inside Phakathi within the Madlanga Commission. Allegations, rather, by Umkonazi. But then Tuesday morning, the police, Chris Mangena, are going through, Colonel Chris Mangena, are, testing out the car, picking up the evidence and all the things they do. And then they're like, you know what, we don't see any blood anywhere. Not even a drop, not even a speck, not even dried up, nothing. The car, yes, has been shot up, blood, dolala. And for that, ladies and gentlemen, that raises my spidey sense to say, I knew it. I knew he was up to something. That wasn't a real shooting, because where is the blood? Where are the dockets? Where is the blood? I have dedicated so much time for this video, putting everything together for you from A to Z. If you appreciated this video, drop a 5 in the comment section down below. Let me know if there's any parts I missed out. Let me know. Yeah. And no, the other thing about the red car, I would say the quality of the red car. Yeah. It also reveals to me that he's on his own. Yeah, he doesn't have that friend. Shadrach Sibia has the friend who gave him the bulletproof vehicle. He's really fending for himself and fending for his life right now. The condition of the tires, the car, it was not make sure for me. And that's in my opinion. I'm going to end it here. Let me know if you need a part 2. I'll see how the comments go, and then I'll see if we do another video on this one. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the rise and fall of Brown Mogotsi. I believe he's at the bottom of the food chain right now. He is scared, terrified, and I'm done. Thanks so much for watching. You know what I love. Please remember to like, to comment, to subscribe. Share this video. Share this video with the last 3 people you chatted with on WhatsApp. I'd appreciate it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.